Hello friends, it's Elize-Marie here again. This is the second video on the life of King Hezekiah and the lessons we can learn from it. Today I want to tell you about how we can learn and discern the strategy of the enemy by looking at the story of King Hezekiah. You see, the enemy, Satan, has a purpose for the believers, and the purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal, for example, our peace. He wants to kill our joy, and he wants to destroy our hope. And the enemy has various strategies or schemes that he accomplishes that with. And we know that because in Ephesians 6:11, Paul says, "Put on the armor of God so that you may stand against the schemes of the enemy." You know, that word schemes that Paul uses can also be referred to as cunning deception or well-crafted trickery. Friends, the enemy has many different schemes that he wants to accomplish his purpose. And the Holy Spirit is equipping us to discern those schemes. So let's look at the story of King Hezekiah and what we can learn from that. Today I want to summarize events in 2 Kings 18 and 19. Where we pick up the stories where King Hezekiah has been king for 14 years in Judah. But he finds himself under tremendous pressure from the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria has had a 10-year military campaign in that entire region. He has had so much success, taken so many cities captive. Even Israel has been taken captive, the northern territories or the northern kingdom. And now the king of Assyria is targeting Jerusalem, where Hezekiah is. He surrounds Jerusalem, he takes captive the fortified cities, and he sends his officials with a strategy of intimidation and fear. Something that maybe some of you may have experienced in your life as well. The way the king of Assyria does this is what I want to highlight today, because I believe the strategy that this enemy uses against Hezekiah is one of the strategies that Satan uses against us as believers as well. So what the king of Assyria does is he instructs his officials to go to King Hezekiah either through verbal negotiation or specifically in a letter that he sends Hezekiah. And the content of these negotiations and letters is primarily focused on intimidating Hezekiah. And the way that he does that is by presenting Hezekiah with factually correct information about what's going on around Hezekiah. He reminds him of the unreliability of Egypt. He reminds him of all the names. He lists the names of the kings and the cities that he, king of Assyria, has destroyed and taken control of. You see, friends, what he is doing is he is overwhelming Hezekiah with factually correct information. He's not lying. He's just overwhelming Hezekiah with what's going on around him. What is his strategy? His strategy is to ensure that Hezekiah is so focused with his attention and what he's seeing and listening to. He's focusing Hezekiah's attention on his natural reality. He's effectively saying to Hezekiah, "Face the facts, Hezekiah. You stand no chance against me. Look at what I have accomplished against your neighbors." Can you see the strategy of the enemy is to keep the eyes and attention of Hezekiah on the natural reality around him? And friends, in the same way, we have that battle today. And in the same way, the enemy is attempting to overwhelm us with information about our natural environments, about what's going on in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our schools, in government, in the health industry. We are daily bombarded with media information, with conversations we have with friends or people. And the purpose of the enemy is to distract us in such a way that we forget that we are not only natural inhabitants of this world, but that we have been seated with Jesus in heaven. You see, Paul explains it in 1 Corinthians 2 verse 14 and 15, and he says, "The natural man cannot discern spiritual realities. It's foolish for him. But you and I, we have God's Spirit, God's Holy Spirit in us, and therefore we are able to observe our natural environments, our natural circumstances. We don't have to deny it. We can observe, and then by the power of the Holy Spirit, we get a kingdom spiritual perspective on what's going on around us. But friends, it's our choice. Because if we understand the purpose of the enemy to kill, steal, and destroy in our lives, then we need to be aware of what are the strategies that he's using for each one of us. Some of us might currently experience anxiety or disillusionment or fear or maybe just a numbness of all the negative realities that we face. The invitation, my friend, is that you are not left in your natural environment. By placing your trust in Jesus Christ, you have placed your trust in a supernatural God, a God that is not limited to the realities that the earth and our society is presenting us. We are serving and trusting and loving a God that operates on a supernatural level. If you go and see what happened with King Hezekiah, the good news is that the supernatural God that King Hezekiah trusted in showed up in a supernatural way. And he delivered Hezekiah and the people of Judah. In contrast to what the king of Assyria intimidated Hezekiah with. Friends, I want to encourage you today to set your minds on a kingdom perspective. Be aware of what's going on around you. Recognize your natural realities. If it's a financial statement that says it's not going well, if it's a health diagnosis that says it's not good, we're not denying those realities. We're just invited to get a kingdom perspective on those realities and to know that the God that you and I trust is a supernatural God. May you be blessed and may you receive the supernatural perspective of Jesus on whatever circumstances you face today. Thank you and be blessed.